Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Damara, and you've landed on Astrocast. This is your weekly forecast for October 17th through October 23rd. So, first things first, we are sitting in a very comfy position right now, if you will. However, we are just about to enter into eclipse season. So, we've got a couple eclipses coming up toward the end of the month. And we've got two planets here in the next couple of weeks shifting from retrograde and going direct. That's not even to mention the big new moon Scorpio solar eclipse and then full moon lunar eclipse coming up in Taurus. So this is all happening toward the end of the month. And before that, Venus is very, very, very active. Okay, so the theme this week, I'm honestly, I was having a bit of a challenge coming up with the theme because to me, it feels like cosmic energy to me just sets the divine order and divine tone. Like I can look out into the sky and see what's happening and go, well, of course that's what's happening on our planet because this is what's happening in the sky. But I feel like too, we can also kind of make that what we want it to be, right? And normally when we look out for external influence or validation, we're basing those decisions on what we value or what's important to us. So this whole energy as we shift toward the new moon, and if you haven't seen the moon lately, it's just been so beautiful over here on the West Coast as we move toward the new moon again. But as we move toward it, Venus is very, very active. And the first thing that Venus will do this week is trine Mars. And then the second thing it will do, I'm just going to turn my page, I'll give you the date, it will square Pluto. And then it's also going to conjunct the sun. So Venus is the planet of value, of financial flow, of money, of abundance, of beauty, of grace, of relationship, of love. Venus is really, I don't want you to think that when I say value, we're only talking about love, although it really is, that is very much amplified in this situation, especially because when Venus conjuncts the sun on the 22nd, right? So this is the Venus star point. When this happens on the 22nd, it happens in the sign of Libra, which hasn't happened since the 1700s. So as far as I know, none of us alive right now in this life have experienced this type of compassionate, loving, heart ascending energy. And then that also was like, well, I mean, is the theme going to be ascension? I know there are two words that I feel are sometimes overused or misused, and that's ascension and manifestation. I just feel like sometimes they don't get the credit that they deserve because they are overused. But when we talk about ascension, what we're talking about is really coming out of the lower vibration of our life and of our existence into a higher vibratory frequency. So we see things from a higher perspective. We see things through the lens of love and compassion and grace. And we might even become much more sensitive to the external. Okay, so I hope you're still with me on this. So when I look out at the astrology for this week, I feel like this theme is not so much a word, but it's a phrase, and that is allowing ourselves to ascend, to see things from a higher perspective based on a higher value system. Okay, so really ascending to or evolving into our next way of being based on how we value ourselves. And if it's one thing that I know to be true, if we haven't learned something from 2020 and 2021 about ourselves, about who we are in relation to ourselves, and who we are in relation to the world, or what we love or what we don't love, and we haven't started to already make those shifts in how we spend our time and how we value ourselves, these eclipses will shift that for you. So, really take a look this week at what you're valuing and noticing these moments in time when you're almost feeling like you're either spinning your wheels or you're, what I like to say, pushing the river, right? Like, who pushes a river? A recovering type A pushes the river, or someone that thinks they can actually go against the flow of a river going to the ocean, right? Or wherever it goes, but we can't push a river. Okay, we need to flow with the river. And when we talk about ascension, what we tend to do as humans is we carry this big backpack on us with all of our stories or our armor or whatever that have kept us safe and secure and complacent and comfy. And we don't then elevate or evolve or ascend to this next higher understanding of who we are. My humble belief is that the world goes like this, not just in space, but our life. Our life is like a spiral. It's a sweet little orbit. Okay. It's not a linear line. And so, of course, hopefully what happens is we're spiraling up in our life and we're understanding how we function and what we put value on as we evolve through our life. So today, 10/17, the sun trines Mars, which gives us this boost of like energy and clarity and like, yes, that I want to go through, yes, I'm ready to do that. And remember, Mars is going to go into retrograde on 10/31. And so this energy will slow down. It'll just go like, maybe. Venus trines Mars on the 18th, which is an absolute gorgeous, gorgeous energy for love and abundance and connection and wanting to be with friends and wanting to just, be in this heart-centered space. And then on the 19th, Sun will square Pluto. Okay, the sun's going to square Pluto. Now, Pluto is starting to move toward going direct again, not quite yet, but will soon. And so this is about surrendering to the flow. This is about going into the depths of what's been happening in your life and trying to understand things from a deeper perspective. I remember learning and then understanding the truth to this statement. The deeper that you go into your learning, right? So the deeper the dive, the higher the ascension. So the more you dive into these subtler, lower energies, whether they're grief or anger or frustration or intensity or whatever, maybe it's just focus on some project you're trying to complete. The deeper you go, the higher you'll be able to see things. Okay. Venus also squares Pluto this week, which is really about valuing yourself. This is where that value piece comes in, really valuing yourself, your time, your energy, and being, asked to be shown those people, places, instances, environments that aren't really supporting that higher evolution of who you are. And newsflash, it's not anything that they are doing. It's you not valuing yourself and saying, you know what, this is no longer in my sphere. Not that it wasn't right or wrong or whatever in that moment. Remember, you're shifting. So now you have this higher perspective of like, okay, wait, that was really great. And now thank you. And I'm moving on, if this makes sense at all. And then we have our Venus star point, which I will post a photograph, or I'll try to post a video of it. It's the it's part of the Venus pentagram that is engraved on my arm. It's my logo. It's the Venus pentagram. It's when Venus meets the sun. It's one of those lotus flower petals. It's the point of the petal. Okay. And this is really important because it takes 8 years to make the Venus pentagram. 8 years. And in the write-up, I'll write up all the dates on when this is all taking place to create that full completion. But, after 8 years, Venus creates this beautiful pentagram that is made up of all these moments in time when Venus conjunct the sun. And that happens on October 22nd. So we're coming to this point of, deeply valuing ourselves and having our eye and our hearts, actually not our eye, our hearts on this ascension process of allowing ourselves to feel love and compassion and grace and joy. And I know it's challenging. I don't avoid the topics that are happening in the world. But I do know this, that when the topics that are happening in our external are really triggering, when they're really triggering and they really get that like pain point, it gets louder and louder, almost as if, universe, God, source, divine is saying, now what are you going to do? Are you going to fall into that? Or are you just going to focus on elevating your value, your energy, your heart's ascension, so that you can truly be a vessel on this planet? Because we can dive in and support and do all the things, but if you get snagged, you're just going to get pulled in that rip current, And so find that balance so that you really truly value yourself and what you have to offer and who you are and what you love and your time and your energy and your resources, everything. And say, how can I up level or ascend or evolve what I emanate out into the world? Can we just remember that we're an energy vibe, like we're electricity and water, guys? Okay, that's what this body is made of, electricity and water, in this dense thing that we call an earth suit, right? And we're connecting with all these other people. So what can you do this week to value yourself at a little bit of a higher frequency so that you can ascend and you become that energy of love? See why I couldn't think of like just a word. It was so challenging to think of just a word. So I hope this helps you. And if you want to find out more, or if you want to drop into a little mini class on how to figure out how all of this affects you, your rising, your sun, your moon, your natal chart, go to myastrocast.com, put in your email, and you'll get access to this special recording. Thank you so much, you guys. Such a sweet blessing to be able to be here. Again, I hope this supports. Have such a beautiful, beautiful day. Namaste.